המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא הקדוש ברוך הוא הקדוש Psalm 133. I want to welcome you all to our Shabbat service. This is going to be a comfort service. We're going to come back to some familiar confines. Have a little bit of Jewish mac and cheese, if you know what I mean. Yeah, we all need it. So, Psalm 133. Hine ma tov umanayim. Shevet achim gam yachad. Behold how good and beautiful all you are to see you here in this place and at this time. Hine ma tov umanayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov umanayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov, hine ma tov, la 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 la. Hine ma tov, manayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov, manayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov, hine ma tov, la 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 la. Hine ma tov, hine ma tov, la 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 la. Manayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov manayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov.
Shabbat shalom. Wow. Whew. I'm going to take a breath after hearing that. We were just talking that, for the past 16 months, at least 16 months ago, we first had to figure out how to fill the space when there was 3 of us in here, David and 2 clergy at a time leading services, filling that space with all of you that were in our sanctuaries connected through the web. And then we had to figure out how to fill the space when there was 1 of us leading services. And then as we started to come back and then had a team with us, which added at least to having some people. And now we are here and we are there. And so now it's this new venture that we're on all together, being in differing spaces. But tonight as we re-enter, so many of you re-enter this holy space, a prayer to begin this service by Trisha Arlen. Our eyes are open wide as we walk into our familiar sacred space for the first time in over a year. Colors are brighter, the sanctuary is larger, and the sounds of our voices together are luscious. We swim in our profound appreciation for what we once took for granted, and we can't stop smiling at our friends and marveling at how good they look to us. We might hug. We breathe in their smells. It's so exciting. And at last we can pray, and we will be heard We can mourn, and we will be seen. We are not alone. Blessed holy wholeness, we give thanks and pray that we will remember how this felt next week and next year. When we are bored, look at us. Here we are. It is good. Amen. And we turn in our prayer books to page 120. For those who are joining us at home, we invite you to gather your candlesticks and your Kiddush cup as we welcome in Shabbat. As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we by our lives give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we in our own day be among those who kindle light. As we welcome in the warmth and the light and the brightness of Shabbat, Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat. And we ask you now to please rise for Kiddush.
Returning your Siddurim to page 123, two candles represent Shamor v'Zachor, which you hear later in Lecha Dodi, to keep and to remember. And the wine represents this trilogy, if you will, that we have on Shabbat, and the wine represents the Ruach l'Shabbat, the spirit of the Sabbath. So we hold our cups up and we sing together. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei beriat hafed. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav, v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kodesho, be'ahavav ratzon, hinechilanu, zikaro lema'aseh v'reshit, ki hu yom techido, v'kroi kodesh, zecher letzion mitzrayim, kivanu v'chorta ve'otanu kidashcha mikol ha'olim v'shabbat kodshecha be'ava u'v'ratzon hinechaltanu. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh hashalot.
L'chaim. You may be seated. So for the past couple of months, we have been in the book of Bamidbar, in the book of Numbers. It's my favorite book of the Torah, I guess, if I had to pick a favorite book. And I love that this book comes back to the narrative story of our people. And there is so much that goes on in this particular book, and there are so many personalities that really come forward in this book. And we're not just like Genesis, where it's the same few people over and over. When we get to the book of Numbers, it's just a lot of different people and a lot of different personalities, which truly begins to show the makeup of this nation, this people, our ancestors. And so the English name of this book is Numbers. Why Numbers? Because there's a lot of counting that happens in this book. The first census takes place at the very beginning of the book, and it takes place in the second year following the Exodus, when the generation that left Egypt is still camped at the base of Mount Sinai. And that generation, we are told in the Torah, had experienced God up close. They experienced God in terms of that strong hand and that outstretched arm of divine intervention in history. They witnessed the plagues that fell upon Egypt. They escaped from Egypt. They saw the waters part. They received the 10 Commandments. And yet, as we get into the book of Numbers, no matter all of the incredible things that they witnessed, we learn in this book that they are just not suited for life as free people in the Promised Land. They're just not ready to go there. And with this week's parasha, imagine like a time capsule or something spinning around. From last week to this week, we fast forward 36 years. So it's kind of strange. And now it is 38 years since that census at the beginning of Bamidbar. And God asks at the beginning of this parasha, following a plague that Pinchas has ended, and a new census is taken at the end of the plague. Of this particular census, Mordechai Kaplan taught, "It is true that we are thrust into a world we did not make, but who makes the world into which our children are thrust?" I am struck by these words of Rabbi Kaplan. 16 months ago, we were thrust into a world that none of us could have imagined. And I cannot say whether or not it was of our own making, human making. As I think we were terrified, we were shocked, we were worried, we were, you name it, fill in the blank, we were experiencing that. And this Shabbat, as we read the words of this parasha, like our Israelite ancestors, we too now stand at the precipice of entering a promised land, waiting to move forward out of this wilderness, to look forward and see what the future will hold. And I'm struck by the similarities with Torah. They were wandering, we've been wandering. They had the opportunity to move forward at different times. And over the course of the past year plus, I think for all of us, we felt like there were moments when we thought we were moving forward, and yet this journey has continued. And we're not quite sure if we're moving forward or if we've just been walking in this very big circle for the past year. And so with regard to the census in this parasha, it says, "These are they that were numbered by Moses and Eleazar the priest, who numbered the Israelites in the plains of Moab by the Jordan near Jericho. And among these there was not one of them whom Moses and Aaron the priest had counted when they counted the Israelites in the wilderness of Sinai. For God had said of them, 'They shall surely die in the wilderness,' and there was not one of them left except for Caleb and Joshua." And so according to our text, there is an entirely new generation that is being counted. The generation of the Exodus in the earlier stories of Torah proved, at least to God, that they weren't ready. They weren't ready to experience the freedom of the Promised Land. And so now we fast forward to this new generation that knows nothing but the wilderness, and they know nothing but the journey other than what they have heard from those, the multi-stories, the countless stories told by the generations that came before them. And it is from these stories that they have not only learned their history, but one hopes they've learned the lessons of the past, and they are figuring out how these lessons can be used in the future. 16 months ago, as time stopped and our world seemingly shut down, for so many of us, it is our faith that got us through this. Our homes became our sanctuaries, and we were able to embrace some of those traditions that had fallen off because we felt we never had time to do them, like baking challah and other holiday treats, decorating for holidays, and figuring out how to do and be Jewish in meaningful ways for ourselves. And when the days felt endless, which they did, and when they all ran together, Shabbat became our beacon in time, something that we could look forward to. Look forward to lighting our candles. Look forward to enjoying services from our couches, sometimes barefoot, maybe in pajamas with a glass of wine. And we experienced losses of all sorts, and we dealt with being alone and the many emotions of dealing with being thrust into an unknown wilderness. And yet through it all, we were self-reliant, creative, strong, and courageous. I think so many of us learned that we're more resilient and adaptable than we thought. We recognized and learned that we can adapt and adjust and just keep moving forward. And so thinking back to Mordechai Kaplan's words, as we begin to move out of this wilderness journey that we were thrust into, what is the world that we are now creating? What is this world that we are creating into which our children will be thrust? Will we be like our Israelite ancestors who were anxious, fearful, and didn't trust in themselves, didn't trust in their community, and didn't trust in God? Or will we stop and not only consider our losses, the ones that we've experienced, but also recognize the many blessings and the many lessons that have come with this unexpected journey? The choice is truly ours at this point. Our journey, it isn't over quite yet. We aren't COVID-free. In fact, just yesterday, St. Louis County issued an advisory, just yesterday, given the Delta variant. But as we see the light at the end of the tunnel, and as some of us sit here together for the first time in over a year, as we sit in this sacred space, I want to offer a Tefillat Haderech, a blessing of journey for this moment by Rabbi Sonia Pills. Makor HaChayim, you, God, who are the wellspring of all life, our hearts have been heavy for more than a year as we have missed gathering in the traditional way. We have missed being actually meeting in person together, feeling the energy of each other's presence and experiencing your presence in our midst. Still, with faith in you, we have journeyed together, a journey seemingly with no ending. And yet we finally see the light dawning on the horizon. Some of us are rushing forward, some are slowing down. Some can't get there quick enough. Others move more slowly with greater caution. But all of us advance toward light, filled with a sense of hope and with a sense of promise. We thank you, Makor HaChayim, the wellspring of life, for implanting within us the imagination and the will to breach the gap, for the creativity that has been birthed out of this season of isolation, for those who have stepped up and given their hearts, time, and talents to us all, for the technology that has brought our congregation learning, prayer, fellowship, and action into our homes, not only bringing those of us in St. Louis together, but blessing us with new online friends of our congregational family across the country and around the globe. Who would have imagined that we could worship together and find connection even when we are alone? As we move forward from darkness toward light and from trepidation to what we hope will be a great day of celebration, we pray from the depths of our hearts. God, grant us wisdom to know whether it is safe for us to come into your house. And may those not ready to come continue to find community through our online presence. Teach us patience and teach us respect for those who feel the need to move at a different pace. Remind us to always place first our concern for those who are still vulnerable, and plant within us a caring heart that will stay alert to the needs of others. And as our ancestors drew life-saving water from Miriam's well, which followed them in their wilderness journey, so may we continue to draw resilience, strength, and blessing from you, Makor HaChayim, wellspring of life. For we know that wherever we go, you are with us. And together we say, Amen. And we turn now in our prayer books to page 138 as we join together welcoming in Shabbat with Lecha Dodi. And as we get to verse 9 on page 139, a reminder that we'll ask you to rise and turn toward the back doors as we welcome in the Sabbath bride.
לקראת קלה בני שבת, נקבלה לך דודי. לקראת קלה בני שבת, נקבלה שמור וזכור ודיבור אחד. Adonai echad u'shemo echad l'shem tiferet v'litila lecha dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nekala nekabla לקראת קלה בני שבת, נקבלה לקראת שבת, לכו ונלכה, כי מקור הברכה, וראש מקדם לסוכה סוף. Tequila, stand up, please. Face the back of the ark. The doors will not be opened this Shabbat, but your hearts will be. Likrat kala b'nei Shabbat, nekala nekabla lecha dodi. Likrat kala b'nei Shabbat, nekala Shalom Ateret Ba'ala Gan Besimcha U'Bitzola Ruch Emunei Am Sekula Face the front of the ark and Lecha Dodi Likat Kala Likat Kala B'nei Shabbat Likala Likala Lecha Dodi Likat Kala Likat Kala B'nei Shabbat Likala
And we continue on page 146.
Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach
We turn to page 149 as we read together at the middle of the page. This is an hour of change. Within it, we stand uncertain on the border of light. Shall we draw back or cross over? Where shall our hearts turn? Shall we draw back, my brother, my sister, or cross over? This is the hour of change, and within it we stand quietly on the border of light. What lies before us? Shall we draw back, my brother, my sister, or cross over? Baruch atah Adonai, Hama'ariv Aravim, page 152.
If you're lost, you feel afraid, and you don't know what to say, then listen to our God. Is there a question on your mind? Is the answer hard to find? Then listen to our God. Listen with all your heart and soul, and with all your might. Write them and learn them and teach them well, every morning and night. Close your eyes and listen. Let's get a little bit of a sway going. We can't sing much, but we can move. Let's move a little bit. Quiet yourself, there's nothing to say. Stop all the chatter that gets in the way, and listen to our God. When the wind and thunder finally disappears, there's still a voice that you will hear if you listen to our God. You can hear it from the top of the highest hill, or from the valley below. It can come from the edge of the universe. It can come from within your soul. Close your eyes and listen. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad Baruch Shem Kivod Malechuto Leolam. Listen to our God. Listen to our God.
You may be seated. And we continue reading together in the English on page 155. Love your God with every heartbeat, with every breath, with every conscious act. Keep in mind the words I command you today. Teach them to your children. Talk about them at work, whether you are tired or you are rested. Let them guide the work of your hands. Keep them in the forefront of your vision. Do not leave them at the doorway of your house or outside your gate. They are reminders to do all of my mitzvot, so that you can be holy for God. I am Adonai your God. I led you out of Egypt to become your God. I am Adonai your God. And on page 158, we join together in Mi Chamocha.
Mi chamocha ba'eli Adonai. Mi chamocha nehtar b'kodesh. Torah tehilo osef Who is like you? Who is like you, Adonai? Who is like you, Adonai? Moses and the children cross the sea. They sing to you with songs of joy. Who is like you, Adonai? Ba'eli Adonai, mi kamocha nehtar b'kodesh. Torah tehilo osef
We continue now on page 160 with Hashkivenu.
Hashkivenu guide us in the wisdom, compassion, and trust. Ashivenu Adonai, Eloheinu Lishalom, Ve'amidenu Shoreinu Le'chayim. Save us for the sake of your name. Shield us from hatred, sorrow, and pain. Ashivenu Adonai, Eloheinu Shalom, Ve'amidenu Shoreinu
And we continue on page 162, and we want to hear your voices so loud as we join together singing Vishamru.
Vishamru v'nei Yisrael et HaShabbat la'asot et HaShabbat לדורותם ברית עולם. And Vishamru v'nei Yisrael et HaShabbat la'asot et HaShabbat לדורותם ברית עולם. Vishamru v'nei Yisrael et HaShabbat la'asot et HaShabbat לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל השבת לעשות את השבת לדורות עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורות עולם. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש. ושמרו בני ישראל השבת לעשות את השבת לדורות עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם.
And we turn now in our prayer books to page 164 as we rise now for the Amidah.
Adonai, sifatai tiftach, ufi agita hilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Page 166. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu ve'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, האל הגדול, הגיבור והנורא, אל עליון, גומל חסדים טובים, וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה, מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן. ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם, ועזרת שרה. Page 168, אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיה הכל אתה רב להושיע, מוריד הטל, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיה הכל ברחמים רבים, זומך נופלים ורופא הורים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות ומידו מרוך, מלך במית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישוע, ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיה הכל. Page 170, אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך הסלע. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש.
You may be seated. And we turn in our prayer books to page 376 and page 377. And on this Shabbat, this weekend of July 4th, the time when we celebrate our nation's independence, we join together in a prayer for our country. O guardian of life and liberty, may our nation always merit your protection. Teach us to give thanks for what we have by sharing it with those who are in need. Keep our eyes open to the wonders of creation and alert to the care of the earth. May we never be lazy in the work of peace. May we honor those who have died in defense of our ideals. Grant our leaders wisdom and forbearance. May they govern with justice and compassion. Help us all to appreciate one another and to respect the many ways that we may serve you. May our homes be safe from affliction and strife, and our country be sound in body and spirit. Amen.
Amen.
And together at the bottom of the next page, we join together in a prayer for the state of Israel. O Heavenly One, protector and redeemer of Israel, bless the state of Israel, which marks the dawning of hope for all who seek peace. Shield it beneath the wings of your love. Spread over it the canopy of your peace. Send your light and truth to all who lead and advise, guiding them with your good counsel. Establish peace in the land and fullness of joy for all who dwell there. Amen.
Amen.
And we turn in our prayer books to page 371. And at this time, we turn our thoughts, our prayers, our hearts toward those who are in need of healing. And if you are thinking of someone who is in need of healing, I'm going to ask if you are in the sanctuary or if you are at home to please rise at this time. If you are thinking of someone in need, and I'm going to ask you to call their name aloud, share it with the universe, and share it with our prayer this evening. And we take all of those names into our hearts. May God swiftly send them a complete renewal of body and spirit as we join together in our Misha Berach prayer for healing.
who bless the ones before us. Help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing. And let us say,
silent and personal prayer.
Ose shalom, shalom bimroma, uyase shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imeru amen. Ose shalom, shalom bimroma, uyase shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imeru amen. Uyase shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, amen. Ose shalom, shalom bimroma, uyase shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imeru amen. Ve'al kol Yisrael,
Hello, Shabbat Shalom. My name is Stacy Rolfe, and I'm a member of the Board of Trustees for United Hebrew. Welcome home. It's nice to be here, don't you think? I mean, I have had a ridiculously busy week this week, as I'm sure many of you have. And I've really been looking forward to coming to tonight, and I'm sure many of you have as well. So I think it just feels good for us to kind of exhale and say that we've made it and we're here. So that part feels really, really good. And I'm sure the congregation will continue to grow and fill in as time goes on and more faces will be here. So encourage your friends and encourage your family to join us, because this is really a wonderful way to spend the end of the week and just kind of relaxing. So let me tell you about a few things that we have coming up. Tomorrow, Torah study begins at 9 a.m., followed by Shabbat, Shabbat service at 10:30. And we're excited to announce our upcoming programs during the month of Elul in August, leading up to the High Holy Days, which will include the following: Plato and the Talmud with Cantor Eicher, Becoming Whole this season with Rabbi Bellows, which I think sounds really interesting. I'm not sure exactly what that is, but it sounds interesting. I don't. Round challah bake with Rabbi Rosenberg. I've been following everyone baking challah on Facebook, and I wish I was participating with it, so I think that one also sounds good, and I will get in on that. Musar for the Holy Days with Rabbi Rosenberg. I'm not sure what that is. Mindfulness. Okay, I wasn't sure. There you go. Shofar Sundays at the local park. Havdalah and My Grateful playlist, putting gratitude into the mix. For more information and a schedule of the High Holy Days at United Hebrew, details on the above programs and all of our upcoming events, you can visit the United Hebrew website. So also, don't forget that there is a special going on right now for members only with the cemetery. It's now through September 16th. When you purchase 2 burial plots, you get them both for the price of 1. Which is really, something to consider. It's not something we all like to think about, but it is something to consider. So if you have any questions, I know I saw Barry out here tonight, so you can always ask Barry about it afterwards. Also, we have this really cool fundraiser. It's an olive oil fundraiser, if you've seen that. It's in conjunction with My Tree in Israel. So this is a unique program. It connects you directly with an Israeli farmer by adopting an olive tree in their grove. And depending on the number of bottles that you buy, there's different promotions. So some of the labels will say that they are marked with United Hebrew on there, but I believe if you buy 6 or maybe even 3, you get your own name on the label. And that is really cool, I think. I mean, I know I bought some, and I'm going to give them as gifts. So that's a really neat program, and everybody uses olive oil, so take advantage of that while we've got it going on. So I would also like to thank our greeters and our ushers for this evening, and please know that for the time being, the gift shop is open only by appointment. Or also, you can contact Iris. She's here in the audience as well. You can see her and make an arrangement to come in. And then Cheryl Bauer, if she's not busy enough being president, she has also baked cookies. So feel free to take some cookies on your way out, and you can take those and enjoy at home. So we appreciate you doing that. So again, Shabbat Shalom. Thank you so much for coming.
I don't know, Phil, was that a moment of relief of like, oh, Cheryl's been promoted? Our incoming president, Cheryl Bauer. So as Stacy said on the way out, Cheryl has provided a sweet treat to grab and go on your way out. And it is the first Shabbat of the month. And we are celebrating birthdays, although a few people wrote down anniversaries, so I want to acknowledge them because we're celebrating. We're home, we should celebrate. So June 27th, celebrating number 51, and I remember celebrating 50 in the parking lot last year. Sherilyn and Barry Krell, and Tina and Dustin Day. I think it says you're celebrating 20 years. Congratulations and Mazal Tov. And celebrating birthdays. Just a couple of days ago, Leslie Yaffe celebrated a big, exciting birthday. Or last year, so we're adding one to that. See?
Well, that was a couple days ago, so that's... But July 1st, just yesterday, Abby Sussman celebrated a birthday.
Myra Glazer yesterday celebrated a big birthday. I assume since you put the age on there, I should say it. Myra Glazer is celebrating 85 years.
And on July 7th, Stephen Tobis is going to celebrate his birthday.
July 10th, Art Zeman will be celebrating a birthday.
July 27th, Sam Sanders is going to celebrate his birthday. Sam, there you are.
And on July 27th as well, Francine Thompson will be celebrating a birthday. So for those celebrating birthdays in June and July, if you are present, please rise. And if you are at home celebrating birthdays, especially in July, but if you are blessed in June, you please rise as well. Blessed is the source that dreamed the day of your presence here on earth. May you feel embraced and folded anew by the miracle of your being.
May you feel the deep purpose of your soul, loved and cherished into becoming who you are meant to be. And may the inevitable but dark gifts of hurt and loss school you in strength and perseverance.
And may you find holiness when you look into the eyes of someone who loves you. May you be a source of holiness for others. May you treasure and develop your uniqueness and be a blessing to all you meet. Together we say, Amen. And we say to all celebrating birthdays, Ad Mea Ve'esrim, may you live to be 120, just as Moses did, and be a blessing to everyone, and Mazal Tov to those celebrating birthdays and celebrating anniversaries. And now if everybody would please rise as we turn to page 586 for Aleinu.
Aleinu לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי ארצות, ולא זמנו כמשפחות אדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגוררנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. Page 591. ונאמר וחיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו
You may be seated. We turn to page 595. There are stars up above, so far away we only see their light, long, long after the star itself is gone. And so it is with people that we loved. Their memories keep shining ever brightly, though their time with us is done. But the stars that light up the darkest night, these are the lights that guide us. As we live our days, these are the ways we remember. As we join together on this Shabbat, we are in the period of Shloshim for Shirley Alberstadt, Janine A. Kaufman, Nancy Seifer, Faye Slusky, Adrian Sweener. This week, this Shabbat, we observe the yahrzeits as we lovingly remember Samuel Ashenoff, Stuart A. Bartfeld, Paul Blank, Oscar Block, Dorothy S. Campbell, Natalie Nikki Kaplan, Goodman Cohen, Sylvia Shapiro Cohen, Alberta Burt Cohen, Leo Cosentino, Joseph M. Davis, Cecil Deichman, Louis Diamond, Fred Dubinsky, Emil Feinberg, Simon Feldman, Zelda S. Fields, Herman Fisher, M. Michael Fishman, Mel Al Friedman, Frank Friedman, James A. Goldenberg, Herman M. Goldman, Samuel Goldstein, John J. Goodman, Abraham M. Green, Jerome K. Grossman,
Jerry Israel, Hortense Jacobson, Sophie Jaffe, Charles L. Joseph, Carol Louise Kaufman, David Keene, Libby Keller, Ida Ketcher, Celia Levin, Paul Liss, Anita Mallon, Morris Mandel, Marie Mayer, Warren Freund Milius, Bertha C. Newmark, Faith Pekarsky, Patricia Jean Portnoy, Isidore Rothman, Dr. William E. Rubenstein, Leonard Rubin, Rose W. Rubin, Ella Sanders, Elliot D. Schenberg, Lillian Siegelbaum, Sam Siegel, Lily Sr., Jerry Surratt, Nathan Shapiro, Lena Sigaloff, Albert J. Sills, Abraham Sinkoff, Mary Ann Stein, Diane Stone, Davis Warshaw, Julius Wild, Morris R. Winterman, Milton J. Wise, Alice Kreiser Zetcher. Zichronam livracha, may each of their memories be for blessing. As we turn to the words of the Mourner's Kaddish on page 598, we rise. Yit gadal ve'yit kadash shemei rabbah, bi'alma divra chirute v'yamlich malchute, v'chayechon uvyomechon, uv'chaye dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala uvizman kariv v'imru, amen. Yehe shemei rabbah mevorach le'olam omei omaya. Yit barach ve'yishtabach ve'yit pa'ar ve'yit romam ve'yit naseh ve'yit hadar ve'yit alev ve'yit halal shemei dekudashar barichu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbachata v'nechemata da'miram be'alma ve'imru amen. Yehe shlama rabba min shemaya B'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael be'imru, amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael be'imru, amen. And as we gather this evening, as Stacy said, we take a breath. We're home. Even for those who are still physically in their own homes, I don't know if they heard over the sound system, but if they could hear your voices. Your voices for us, though we could imagine them, were missing as we stood here each week and attempted to fill the space with ourselves, which sometimes we can. But amazing to be back together, and amazing to find ourselves at this moment, which I think 16 months ago we thought, we'll be back really soon. And then as it continued and continued and continued, we began to think, we're never getting back. And yet here we are, and what a blessing. And if you have seen some of my social media for the past, I will say, 2.5 weeks. What an amazing set of Shehechianu moments I have experienced, this certainly being one, as we've watched life return to normal. As I stood with young children who got to see their camp friends for the first time in 2 years. And when everybody tested negative at day 6 and their masks could come off and they could actually hug people outside of their pods, how amazing. And then some of you saw last Saturday as we gathered for a bar mitzvah, the first of our new cycle and season. And it was normal. We were able to bring the Torah into the congregation for the first time in 16 months. We had people on the bima besides ourselves and our bar or bat mitzvah student. And so we're moving slowly, and that's okay. It's a step forward, a new experience, and at each moment we stop, we recognize the blessing of that moment. We say thank you to God, And we continue forward hoping for more of these, when hopefully, eventually, everyone will be comfortable being back together and will be able to do so safely and without fear. And so we join together tonight on this first Shabbat back home together. We join together thanking God for bringing us to this season, for allowing us to make it through the past 16 months and to be here tonight to say thank you and sing Shehechianu together.
Amen yourselves. Let's hear your voices. Amen. A little bit louder. You were in masks. Let's try it again. And